Aglorev Magazine Live is brought to you by
Orca Leilani's Energy Exchange. Express yourself without saying a word.
And
Aglorev Entertainment. Mind, body, soul, energy, healing.
You made it! Welcome back to Aglorev Magazine Live, your reliable source for assistance with navigating the 3D. Have you been feeling the urge to shop lately? It's okay. It's in the stars. Are you struggling with how you want to show up in the dating world? Have you explored the world of fluid dating? Perhaps it might resonate with what you've been missing. Have you seen the viral video of a killer whale doing exactly that to its menstruating trainer? Did you believe it? It's okay, most did. Did you know that ICE is now the most funded branch of defence? Bachelor in Paradise is getting heated as the secrets come out. Love Island UK stays in character, and Big Brother seems to have its first official showmance. I have a cute date night movie recommendation, and then I'll either shock you or tickle you. Hopefully the latter, because I'm addicted to laughter. So let's get this started. There's loads of positive energy around the Jupiter-Venus conjunction in Cancer, and a lot of it is valid. Jupiter grows and expands whatever it touches, and Venus represents the part of us that recognizes what it likes and dislikes, what feels pleasurable. Jupiter heals, and Venus smooths things out. And in Cancer, many emotions come to the surface and are able to be resolved and healed. Jupiter with Venus expands our ability to attract, to manifest, to love, to be happy. The problem is that each one of these planets also has its negative aspect. And in this case, Jupiter can represent excess. Venus can represent the temptation of pleasure. And the sign of Cancer can represent our internal struggle to define who we really are. And it also represents emotional cycles. For every positive, there's a negative equivalent. And since Jupiter expands whatever it touches, this can mean the expansion of the negative side of things as well. On one side, we see our dreams manifesting in reality. But on the other side, we see our nightmares manifesting as well. So the key is in the Leo Sun and Mars in Libra. With Mars in Libra, we want to take the middle path, not getting overly excited about the positive, not getting thrown off by the negative. Understanding that all good things can come with the opposite as well. Sometimes we're better off being modest with what we want and what we accept, even if it's right in front of us, not climbing as high, so that we won't fall from a great height. The Leo Sun wants us to be completely focused on what really matters to us, our true purpose. Leo isn't interested in pleasure for pleasure's sake. It's a spiritual sign. It's a representation of our higher self. Leo finds pleasure in the fulfillment of its true duty on this planet by focusing on what we can do for ourselves and others, not on what the world can do for us. We turn to the Jupiter-Venus conjunction around and become the one who has an abundance of love to share, the one who helps manifest for others, the one who puts their own desires to the side in order to serve the whole. Leo is a true leader. It's ruled by the sun, and whilst Leo can be self-idolizing, seeing itself as a standing in for the divine, it can also be self-sacrificing, sharing its light, life, and love with the world around it. Leo holds the true power to manifest. Yet, once it obtains that power, realizes that it can only really use it to help the other people. It's not meant to be used selfishly. There's also a conjunction between the moon and the North Node in Pisces, which indicates that we should be emotionally aligned with something much deeper than what is on the surface. That we should be pursuing a much deeper spiritual path in our lives. Pisces comes with a whole lot of emotions that are deep, heavy, sometimes overbearing, and undefinable. You might feel a melancholy or a loneliness with this Pisces moon, but it comes from a realization that our individuality is temporary, and that we are just fragments of a much greater whole, that we have a duty to service, and that it's a thankless job. Expect a lot of cracking open, heavy emotions, ups and downs. Go with a purpose. Don't be tempted by the illusion of expanding pleasure. Instead, embody a growing love and commitment to your deepest self and to the collective soul of humanity. When you combine Pisces, Cancer, and Leo, you're going to get deep and spiritual. You will grow as a person, and if you are selfless in your mission, you will be rewarded and empowered. Be patient with this. The immediate manifestation that this Jupiter-Venus energy can give us is great, but it's temporary. There's something much deeper at play here. Follow the deeper route. We've been here before. It's worth it. This is how you follow the zodiac. Embrace it. Are you a fluid dater? Are you familiar with what fluid dating is? A growing number of LGBTQIA+ people, especially younger individuals, are rejecting rigid identity categories in favor of a more open and intuitive approach to dating. That's according to Hinge's newly released LGBTQIA+ Date Data Advice Trends Expertise report, Love Beyond Labels, which surveyed about 14,000 LGBTQIA+ and heterosexual users around the world. The dating app found that queer daters are moving away from fixed identity categories in favor of so-called label fluid dating. The study also reveals growing label fatigue and a desire to define attraction on one's own terms. LGBTQIA+ daters are done with being boxed in, notes the report. They're prioritizing chemistry, emotional connection, and shared energy over rigid identity categories. The report also uncovers the often overlooked impact of labels on how individuals express themselves when dating. Half of LGBTQIA+ daters said that they have felt pressure to present as more masculine or more feminine in order to attract someone. And nearly a third of those later regretted not staying true to themselves. Additionally, 28% of LGBTQIA+ daters reported feeling label fatigue, a number that jumps to 48% amongst queer identifying individuals. Are labels putting pressure on me to show up a certain way with people I'm interested in? How do I want to express myself authentically? The report asks, encouraging users to reflect on how identity terms may restrict rather than empower. Hinge also found that a significant number of daters are challenging their own preferences, at least in thought. 1 in 3 users admitted to having considered dating someone outside of their usual gender preference. But more than half didn't act on those feelings. Amongst those who hesitated, 50% doubted their feelings, 34% were unfamiliar with queer dating, and 25% feared rejection. Yet for those who did take the leap, attraction was sparked less by appearance and more by connection. Amongst users who experienced unnecessary or unexpected attraction, 80% said it was about the person's energy and vibe. 48% cited confidence, and 48% said humour sealed the deal. If we let assumptions guide who we pursue or dismiss, we risk missing out on magical relationships. Compatibility isn't necessarily about matching labels. It's about how you show up for each other. Unsurprisingly, Generation Z is one of the forefront of this cultural shift. With greater access to diverse representation and language around gender and sexuality, Gender Z daters are more likely to challenge traditional dating scripts compared to millennials. Generation Z LGBTQIA+ daters are 21% more likely to date people with a range of gender expressions, 22% more likely to be open to sexual connections outside their typical gender preference, and 39% more likely to reconsider their own sexuality labels based on unexpected attraction. This trend reflects a wider movement amongst younger queer daters to build relationships based on emotional resonance and shared values, rather than traditional types. Whether they're exploring new labels, challenging old assumptions, or prioritizing emotional connection over fixed types, one thing is clear: the future of dating is fluid, expansive, and entirely self-defined. American LGBTQ+ media advocacy group GLAAD GLAAD welcomed the report as GLAAD continues to track the alarming rise in anti-LGBTQ+ violence and rhetoric, from book brands to legislative moves, particularly targeting transgender people. Research and insight like these remind us that LGBTQ people are still choosing joy, connection, and personal truth over anything else. LGBTQ people, especially trans and queer daters, are carving out space to explore love on their own terms, rather than adhering to traditional labels or rigid expectations. They're choosing authenticity, fluidity, and self-defined connection. I believe in all love and matchmake all identities and orientations. If you are looking for your special person, or insight and coaching on how to keep them, contact me through my site. After a video went viral showing a whale trainer named Jessica Rodriguez being killed in front of a live audience, the video was debunked as being AI generated. Days after a clip went viral on TikTok, allegedly showing Radcliffe, a whale trainer, being killed by an orca during a performance in front of a live audience. It turns out the entire episode was a hoax. In fact, no official records, news reports, or credible sources show that Radcliffe even existed. Furthermore, there is no evidence that the attack even took place, with the video being an AI-generated fabrication. According to multiple experts examined the footage, and according to the International Business Times, found that it featured AI-generated voices combined with archival footage. The original video, which spread across the internet like wildfire, claimed to show Radcliffe performing alongside an orca in a whale show at Pacific Blue Marine Park. The video said that she was killed during the set, with another video alleging the attack was triggered by menstrual blood, with experts noting via the IBT that such details are common in fabricated stories to heighten the emotional impact. The AI video did appear to take inspiration from two real-life Orca unalivings. Alexis Martinez's death in 2009 and Don Broncho in 2010. Martinez, 29, was an Orca trainer at Laurel Park on the Canary Islands, who was involved in an incident with a whale named Keto. He was rushed to the hospital and died of internal bleeding and injuries. Broncho was killed by a telecom, an orca at SeaWorld Orlando. The 36-year-old was dragged by her hair underwater, and the whale repeatedly struck her in front of an audience. Broncho's death was explored in the 2013 documentary titled Blackfish. Experts pointed out to IBT that the similarities to the real unalivings was the reason that the fake video was able to gain traction. Oftentimes, using real or recognizable incidents make the false story feel more legitimate. Unfortunately, fake news is on the rise with AI. Use discernment, do your own research, and in the end, trust your internal compass. Trump's DC takeover may be a distraction, but that doesn't make it any less serious. The president's efforts to divert attention away from the Epstein scandal are taking valuable resources away from solving the issues Americans care about. Donald Trump is doing everything he can to divert the American public's attention away from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, gripping his administration in recent weeks. The White House has revived the Russian investigation, accused former President Barack Obama of treason, and taken over the streets of Washington, D.C. The president has even gone after Coca-Cola for the sugar it uses, and reignited his decade-long feud with comedian Rosie O'Donnell. Whilst the administration throws everything at the wall and waits to see what sticks, it's important to acknowledge that two things can be true here. Yes, all of these actions are distractions. But at some point, the distractions become substance as well. We cannot ignore the fact that there are now active duty troops on the streets of two American cities. We cannot ignore that this is obviously just a test case for Trump to do the same thing in places like New York and Chicago. It is also worth acknowledging that the president's destruction efforts are taking valuable resources away from solving the real issues that everyday Americans care about. One of the price tags we're going to see inside the politics is that things that are necessary for Americans to feel safe, to secure and healthy, are not going to be done. Because Trump is so determined to distract. There's a huge vulnerability. Trump's base likes to think of him as a law and order president. They believe he's the one who will keep this country safe from criminals and the bad guys. But who's looking after the bad guys if the administration is sending the nation's law enforcement to chase around the president's own personal agendas? That's a big question mark we don't know the answer to yet. But it's not going to be good. It's not going to be favourable. But for Trump and for the Americans who expect the federal government to protect them, enforce the law, and keep us safe. The Department of Homeland Security has put its immigration and customs enforcement recruitment efforts into overdrive. as ICE attempts to boost its numbers to carry out Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. The agency is carrying out an ad blitz, according to 404 Media. DHS is looking to run ads on streaming services like HBO, Max, and Hulu. The landing page on the joint ICE website features an image of Uncle Sam with an all-capital headline, "America needs you," and beneath it states, "America has been invaded by criminals and prejudices. We need you to get them out." When it comes to hiring requirements, they are lowering the bar. Last week, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced that the agency would be eliminating the age cap for new hires, allowing people older than 40 and as young as 18 to join ICE ranks. DHS is not only making it easier to become an ICE agent, but more financially attractive as well. The agency's website displays that prospective agents could be entitled to signing bonuses of up to $50,000, possibly up to $60,000 in student loan repayment and 25% premium pay. Their recruitment push is working. It has brought in at least one new high-profile agent, 59-year-old actor and loyal Trump supporter Dean Cain, who once played Superman on telly. He shared on social media that he plans to become an ICE officer to save America. Superman literally, and an undocumented alien, according to MSNBC, is now an ICE agent. You can't make this stuff up. Jokes aside, this drive to hire more personnel seems to be ideologically driven. ICE used to require employees to have an undergraduate degree, but not anymore. Apparently, you don't even need a uniform. So many of the arrests were witnessed being carried out by masked, plain-clothed officers. The only requirement to becoming an ICE agent these days seems to be a beating heart and be in the alignment with Trump's deportation crackdown. It's almost like the president is building an army of psychopaths, and he has the money to do it. Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act set aside nearly $170 billion for immigration enforcement and border security efforts, including $75 billion in extra funding for ICE, specifically making ICE the highest funded law enforcement agency in the federal government. Just to put this in perspective, ICE now receives more funds and resources than most national militaries. It's rapidly becoming the nation's largest domestic police force, its size and power doubling that of the FBI. It seems like the Trump administration is building up ICE to be an alternative force that's bigger and more politically loyal, unencumbered by standards, and largely shielded from democratic accountability. How do we feel about this? What do you think can be done? Now, let's talk about Bachelor in Paradise. Bachelor in Paradise has gotten a little bit crazy because the secrets are out. How they came out, a little bit controversial, and it's interesting who becomes to blame. Now, the main secret was that Jeremy had expressed going back and proposing immediately if Susie came back, and he wasn't really interested in Bailey, who was head over heels for him because she was not aware of this fact, and he did the exact thing that he was criminalizing her for doing, was go out on a date. And Brian wanted to let her know this, possibly sabotage, possibly to look out for her, a little bit of everything. It is 100% unclear. Now, Brian does tell Bailey, and the thing is, a lot of people already knew. So the question being, why are people criminalizing Brian for telling her the truth and opening her eyes to the situation that she was in, which a friend should do, which should have been done by her girlfriends. However, it was done by Brian. So because he is a man and it could look advantageous, which it possibly could have been, however, who was really the demon in this situation? The friends who knew and didn't tell, or him because he knew it would jeopardize the relationship? He was looking out for her. Base bottom line, regardless of how you spin it, giving her the option of what her reality really was. So it will be interesting to see how this evolves, and if she's willing to overlook that behavior, because Jeremy is claiming that he has grown. It was a little bit of mental disturbance, and he is actually with Bailey. So is it because there is a prize at the end? Are there real feelings? Will those questions be answered? Can they be answered by the finale? Then we have Jonathan, who feels like he's on a holiday, and I'm very disappointed in him. He used the older woman's rose to stay further, and now he's using his friends, and he has no accountability. Like, what does he think the show's about? That is a very big example of non-committal relationships. And if you look in the last volume and go over the three elements of what makes up a relationship, and then you analyze the relationship on Bachelor in Paradise, you know where to categorize them. Now, the dark horse, which is really surprising me, is Dale and Kat. Now, Dale could be fluid. I do believe he has attractions with men. However, his connection with Kat is turning into something pretty solid. They are starting to communicate better. They are starting to put in. They are starting to sync up wavelength. It is blossoming. They are one of the few, probably the only, that I believe could last past Bachelor in Paradise. They are even actually starting to look alike, which is insane. In the little bit of time that they're there, they really are starting to sync up with one another. So it is quite possible that Dale and Kat could work, and that was one that I thought was doomed. But he seems to have committed, which is the main element that it requires, and she is communicating from a better place. So the only one that is kind of left out is Parisa. She is caught up in this drama between Brian wanting to be there for love and wanting to stir and win the money. So we'll see where that goes, if his feelings are real, because a lot of it does seem to be a game for him. Although he was looking out for Bailey, and that, regardless of what his intentions were, it was good for her to have the complete picture. Now we'll see where it goes from there. Can Jeremy win her back with a line? And we'll see what kind of ways, we'll see the tactics that men play on how to get you back. Same with Brian. We'll see what he uses to calm and pacify Parisa. And then Jonathan, we see him breadcrumbing, which breaks my heart, because he was one of my favourites in the beginning. He was the underdog, and yet he is the worst of them. He's acting like he's a lad there on holiday and breadcrumbing just so he can stay. He has no intention of anything that the show is talking about, which is love. Yeah, but it's entertaining. So, and the Goldens are kind of falling into the background right now. Then we have the fella who is having heart palpitations, and you know, it's hard for me to watch a show with people that are having health problems and talking about their mortality all the time, which is why I didn't watch the Golden season. I tried, but I couldn't get through it. Now that they've blended them, and there's a little bit of that here. It's I'm not going to lie, it does make it a little bit difficult if they continue to blend them. We'll see if I will continue to watch the series, to be quite honest, because it does bring a little bit of a downer on it. We don't need that much reality in Paradise. Unless we can find different Goldens that are not going to talk about their mortality. I don't know. Many people might have different feelings because they might find that very real and something that they enjoy. I personally find it depressing. But other than that, great, entertaining. Let's see what happens next week with all of this stirred up energy and where it settles. So good luck to them all. Love Island UK has crowned itself a new winner. And of course, it is one of the, I won't say least strong connections, but the least longevity. Of course, they were down to 4 couples, and the one that gets voted out, as all of the cast members came back to vote and see who was the least compatible. And of course, Dijon and Meg were voted out. So the ones that were there from the very beginning had gone through all the trials and tribulations, had gone through the motions of the stereotypical, we are closed off, I am your girlfriend, then I say I love you. They are the ones who get evicted, whether it was because they were a threat, because they seemed disingenuine, or because they seriously thought that they had no compatibility, which could also tie into the disingenuity. Now, 3 couples left. They all had Cosmo people, aside from Shakira and Harry. And then we have Shakira and Harry, who has that up and down roller coaster, and she takes him back multiple times. She did not learn, and she is happy with him in the finale. So, you know, if they tried on the outside and he does something, will she be surprised? Will his ex be waiting there for him when they get out? As she said, they will get back together. So many red flags with Harry, but she is willing to stick it out, and they came in second. So the public apparently like them, which is frightening for me. So they are an attractive couple. You can see how Harry was healing a bit from Shakira, and Shakira was starting to get a bit energy ragged, which makes me think that Harry is an emotional vampire, an energy vampire, pardon, and uses these women, and that's why he collects them, and that is why he is thriving. But yeah, maybe I will do a segment on emotional vampirism. If you would like that, put it in the comments. Then we have Yasmin and Jamie, who came in third. Surprising that they made it that far to begin with, considering that Yasmin was not from the beginning and Jamie was from Cosmo. So typically those type of relationships are the ones that do not garner the favoritism, but because she was friends with Shakira and Tony, I believe Yasmin did increase her clout a little bit to keep her in the top 3 above Meg and Dijon. And then there is Tony and Kalash. My heart is a little bit torn on the pair of them, because you could clearly see that Tony was still heartbroken over Harrison in the way she longingly gazed at him whilst they were standing up on the stage. So that breaks my heart a little bit for Kalash, because that means that he will probably try and she will break his heart. And Tony on her own is my favourite girl in there. Shakira started off, but she went down. But Tony, she garnered my attention, and then she rose to the top. However, I do believe that when she gets out, she is going to DM Harrison. She is going to break Kalash's heart. And yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope she gives him a shot. I hope she treats him with kindness and respect and gives him her attention as he deserves. But I have a feeling she's going to go back to Harrison. We'll see if they follow up. Possibly, hopefully they have a reunion, and then we can see for sure. Because I honestly believe, based on her longing gazes in the finale, that she will backtrack and DM Harrison as soon as they leave the dinner. So my heart goes out to Cash. But they won, so congratulations. It was an amazing season. You put your hearts into it. You gave us loads of entertainment. Hopefully you were able to follow through and see all of the red flags and all of the types of behaviours that you should not put up with in the dating scene. And yeah, there are plenty more reality dating shows to analyse, but for UK Love Island UK this season, this year, we are saying congratulations, goodbye, and hopefully you learn your lesson. If they have a reunion, perhaps they will prove right some of the predictions that I've made about the final couples. But it was an amazing season. Thank you for giving us the entertainment, and we will miss you until next year. Thank you, Love Island. Big Brother USA has its first showmance. It was interesting because I couldn't really tell how Catherine was feeling about Riley. But since they have synced up, it could be something special. Now, it depends on how long they can keep it a secret. Everyone knows that he fancies her, but if she can keep it a secret on her feelings, that could keep them looking less of a threat. However, we will see how long they can keep that a secret, because based on whether they can keep that a secret and based on whether Lauren finds out about it will determine her view on it and whether she will allow that sort of energy into her gameplay. Because right now she is kind of at the V between Zach and Vince. They both have put her on a pedestal and will fight for her. They have linked their games in a way to protect her, and which has displaced Kelly. So Kelly, I don't know if she realizes it, but by her masculine energy she has become one of the bros, and she is no longer in sync with Vince as she was in the first week when they kind of had an agreement and she put herself on the line to show that they were not in agreement. Now she has continually fought and won, and now she is possibly the biggest threat of them all, which will make Vince less and less wanting to be attached with her, plus the fact that he is going to start falling for Lauren. And I mean, how can you help him? She is the beauty of the house, and it will remain to be seen how she will move, because of the fact she may understand that she has 2 knights and she can use this to help her best game if she knows how to maneuver them. Now, if she can keep herself, as she is smartly, intelligently doing, out of a showmance and uses her knights to protect her, Lauren can win. And then at the end, then she can pick the one that she wants. Now, as how long she can keep her knights in the game and how long she can keep them fighting for her, that remains to be seen. But she is intelligent. She is the most beautiful and the most intelligent. I am very impressed with Lauren. Right now, Lauren is my number 1. Lauren, if she can use her feminine wiles and her amazing gamemanship, she can at least be the final 2. And I believe Vince will be a good player as well. He's a game player, and usually the unemployed do well because they have loads of energy stored up when they go in the house. So yeah, as far as relationships, that's what's going on. It's going to be interesting to see how the next weeks go, and how it's amazing how Rachel is kind of going under the radar but is still a big threat. So how she manages to have that work is fantastic to watch. Yeah, so let's see what Big Brother brings us for next week. But this one, we finally have our official showmance, a possible displacement, and yeah, Lauren's my number 1, so she's my favourite. We'll see if she takes it to the end. Go, Lauren. Okay, so this week's date night movie I find to be higher, like a 4.5. It was pretty good. With 2 SNL alum, Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson, and 2 amazing bombshell actresses, Eva Longoria and Kiki Palmer. What an amazing film, with a little bit of love, with 2 actually little love lines, one which is a little bit forbidden, one which was kind of, you know, an aged love, which was very cute. You have the comedy, obviously with 2 SNL alums, then you have the bombshell factor, you have some action thrown in there. Basically it's about a heist, someone's trying to rob money, and Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson are the guards, and it's very cute, it's heartwarming, there's a little bit of action, there's no real like aggressive violence where the crimson comes out, so possibly for a teen or higher teen it might be okay, but it's a cute date night film full of laughter, a little bit of love interest, a little bit of action, special effects. It does have a plot that, you know, it moves along pretty quickly. It is not a plot twist clever, I mean, it's not like a mystery type thing, but it is very cute, it is well written, very good actors, you could tell it had a good budget. So yeah, this is my this week's movie date night film. It's called The Pickup. I don't even know if I told you that, but yeah, it's called The Pickup, with Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, Eva Longoria and Kiki Palmer. Check it out. I believe it is only on Prime Video right now, but I could be wrong, but that's where I saw it. Prime Video, The Pickup. Check it out.
For laughter and applause, so let's keep her alive and welcome Olga Lalani to the stage.
My best relationships with the fellas that think they are stringing me along. I was waiting for marriage to have intercourse. Good Catholic girl.
Oh yeah.
Until I got hit by a car riding my motorbike. There's something about being crippled that forces you into a reality where there is no perfect man worth waiting for.
No.
And now that I'm having intercourse,
Oh yeah.
I'm not planning on making a family.
No way.
I see no purpose for marriage in my life. But men, they think women are motivated by it.
Yeah.
So I let them. I get guilty conscience shopping sprees. Yes, babes. This dress will help me to forget about that white one.
No way.
The I'm not ready to commit trips.
Yeah.
Yes, babes. I know we would have much less freedom with the family. But babies are so cute. Then there's the this isn't the ring yet jewelry.
No way.
Yes, babes. This 6-carat necklace and earring set helps me forget about my naked finger.
No way.
But my favourite still is the deposit notification. Ooh, 10k. He must have done something really bad.
No way.
Forget that.
And check out the latest from Aglorev Entertainment for all of your level up needs.